Hey guys, and welcome to day 4 of my Inktober project. So as I've mentioned in the 2 videos prior to this one, I think today's piece is probably my favorite that I've done so far in Inktober. And honestly, it might be one of my favorite pieces ever. And I think there are several different reasons for this, but the primary one is simply that I changed inking tools from the brush pen that I was using to Micron fine liners. And this was sort of a spur-of-the-moment decision, because up until I actually sat down with the piece, I was going to continue using the same pen that I had been. But I realized that this piece was a little bit more intricate and it was a little more detail-oriented, and I didn't want to ruin that with heavy-handedness. And in general, fine liners are just easier to control than any sort of brush pen, even though the pen I was using wasn't even really a brush pen by traditional standards. It just varied thickness depending on how hard you pressed. Another thing that I really like about today's piece is simply the concept. I really wanted to push myself as far as the composition was concerned, because up until today I had simply done 2 bust views and an owl. And the owl was a little bit of a stretch because I don't really draw animals or birds very often. But bust portraits is what I do. I've been wanting to expand out of that and incorporate more of the figure in my pieces. And so I made the effort to incorporate a hand into today's piece. And I'm very glad that I did, because I think it turned out well, and I think it really emphasizes the theme, which was based on the prompt poison. Now, everyone that was following the Inktober prompt list day by day did this yesterday, but I wasn't quite ready to do it yesterday. I wasn't in the mood, and so I decided to push it a day. And I'm glad that I did, because I think giving it the time to steep in my mind and really come together as a finished piece helped with my overall vision and how the end result turned out. I think it's also fairly apparent in today's piece that I'm starting to get a little more comfortable with ink as a medium. I do a lot of line work in ink for almost all of my work, but I don't typically use it to actually color my pieces. And so there was a little bit of a learning curve when I was starting to make my way into these Inktober pieces. Of course, I still have lots to learn, but I felt a lot more confident going into today's piece. I'm starting to learn how much water to add in order to get the tones that I want. I'm figuring out how to lay the color down in a way that's more flat and less textured, and I'm generally improving with the medium itself, which was something I was hoping to get out of this year's Inktober. I'm also particularly happy with the way the colors turned out. I actually ended up mixing my muted pink ink with my black ink in order to create this deep maroon that I used for the poison bottle. And if I had done anything lighter, I don't think that it would have come across quite as interesting as the end result that I did get. And again, I think that's just becoming more comfortable with the medium. I'm not so scared to do things like mix colors because I'm more confident in my capabilities. I think that's something that challenges like Inktober are good for, because as stressful as they can be, you are naturally going to learn through the process of doing something every day. And there will be people that say, you should slow down and you should work on your ink pieces slowly and over the course of multiple days. And though that may be true, and that there is value in that, I also think there's value in taking the time every single day to complete something. For a very long time, I never really finished anything. I have a lot of artwork from when I was in high school where I was working on quote-unquote realism, and it wasn't very good, and I knew it wasn't very good, but I would never actually finish any of the pieces. I have a whole stack of unfinished realism pieces, and I kept wondering, why am I not seeing improvement? I'm stopping when I know that I'm doing something wrong, so why am I not getting any better? And then as I got older, I started completing pieces, and I would force myself to follow through to the end. And I actually started taping off my watercolor or water medium-based pieces in this time as well. And there is something extremely satisfying about pulling the tape off at the end. But after I started doing that, I began to see more improvement. And I'm not quite sure what that is. Maybe it's the fact that once you have a completed piece in front of you, you're better able to look at what you did right and separate it from what you did wrong. Whereas when you're not finishing things, you're stopping before you do something right. So when I would stop my pieces, when I would see that I was making mistakes, I wouldn't know how to move forward from that. I wouldn't know how to do it correctly. Even though there is definitely value in slowing down and being careful and methodical with your work, I also can see the value in the opposite. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.